Lawyers, what's a law that isn't real but normal people insist exists? It's federal law in the U.S. that a plainclothes or undercover police officer has to identify themselves as a law enforcement if asked. No, it's not the law, and they can tell you whatever the fuck they want. I'm reminded of that Breaking Bad cold open where Badger gets arrested for selling product to an undercover officer because of this exact made-up law. Lol. Driving with interior overhead car lights on is not illegal. Your mom told you that was illegal when you were a kid too, huh? Dad asterisk. No laws against driving barefoot. Saw this and immediately went to Google to disprove. But you're absolutely right. I've been told this my entire life and always thought it was dumb. The reasoning everyone always told me was because the vibrations from the pedals would make your foot fall asleep or go numb so you wouldn't have as much control, even though I know so many people who drive barefoot and have never heard one of them say that their foot fell asleep. In the UK that it is illegal to drink under the age of 18. You can buy alcohol with a meal at 16. Beer, wine, cider. And you are not breaking any laws if you give your child some alcohol in the privacy of your own home and they are over the age of 5. Good Samaritan laws aren't nearly as broad as people think. For context, I work in emergency services. Some people truly believe that "I was trying to help" are the magic words that can get them out of any sticky situation. When I moved to Okinawa as a teenager in the 90s, Dad in the Marines, we were told that if someone got in an accident off base, that we shouldn't help them since we could be sued or go to jail if the person died. I believe this is no longer the case in Japan. But as an Eagle Scout back then, it just blew my mind that I shouldn't give CPR to someone in need. It really bothered me, and I told myself that I would still do the right thing if something happened. Fortunately, never had to find out if I would have held to that. Freedom of speech in my country. That's from watching too many US movies. Even in the US, most people don't understand freedom of speech. All it really means is that the state can't prevent you from saying, publishing certain things, i.e., speaking out against the government, controversial opinions, etc. It has nothing to do with interactions between private citizens. Unless someone is specifically insisting violence, I have absolutely no obligation to respect anyone's freedom of speech since I'm not the state. It also have nothing to do with whether Twitter will let you say it. You have freedom of speech, but Twitter are not obligated to provide you their platform to speak on. And they can deny it for virtually any reason they like. And, no, you can't go out into the street and just start yelling, breach of peace, or lots of other things. You have a freedom, but that does not mean you're just allowed to make others enable that freedom for you. It's a law that exists but widely misunderstood is the concept of entrapment. If the police put a bait vehicle in a high-crime area, that is not entrapment. If the police are watching a bar known to overserve to see if they're impaired drivers at the end of the night, that is not entrapment. Entrapment only occurs when a gov agent suggests committing a crime that you were not otherwise going to commit. The one that is the most frustrating to me, even though it's not really a specific claim that a particular law exists, more a rule of evidence, is that's just hearsay. You have no evidence. Comes up all the time, in all kinds of contexts. Even lawyers love using it when it suits them. Nothing but hearsay and speculation. Usually, what people mean when they say that is don't believe them. They're lying, which, fair enough, but that's not what hearsay means. Lots of evidence is just a person talking. That's what a witness is. It's why testimony exists. It's not evidence just because it's a person talking. Hearsay just means that in most cases, you can't have person A say that person B said XYZ in order to prove that XYZ actually is true. Hearsay. Get it? A heard B say it. It just means your witness can only talk about things they actually know about. And, extremely importantly, It also doesn't count as hearsay when person B is actually the person on the other side of the case. Person A is totally allowed to say, person B told me, yes, I will commit the crime on Tuesday, if person B is the defendant who has been accused of committing the crime on Tuesday. You don't get to complain it's hearsay if you're the one who supposedly said the thing they heard. This should be higher. People don't seem to be aware that a single person testifying about what they saw happen can often be decisive evidence on its own. In the UK, it's not illegal to park on someone else's driveway. It's classified as trespassing, a civil offense, not criminal, which means the police can't do anything. This particularly surprises people as many think that they have exclusive rights to the parking outside their house as well. I'm not driving, I'm traveling. That one is incredibly hilarious when it's on video and shared. Officer, I'm not driving under the influence, I'm traveling. Not technically a law, but life, liberty and the pursuit of happiness is asterisk, not asterisk in the Constitution. Hear it all the time and it drives me crazy. I feel like if you only learned about them in elementary school. Confusing lines from the Declaration of Independence with the preamble to the Constitution isn't the most unreasonable thing. Yeah, life, liberty, or property is in the 5th, 14th Amendments though, so it can be a little confusing. They cannot arrest a husband and wife for the same crime. Asterisk, I got the worst fucking attorneys, asterisk. Negligent motorcycle driver forced me to hit him from behind with my car. I was young and naive at the time. Never been in an accident until then. Guy makes me sign a paper that says that the accident is my fault because I hit from behind and wanted compensation. I explained the situation to my dad, and he concluded that the guy was obstructing normal traffic and I had no option but to hit him from behind in the particular circumstance. The guy ended up taking us to court. Showed the judge the piece of paper that I signed. I explained that I signed it under duress and that he explained that by law whoever hits from behind is responsible for the accident. Judge looked him in the eye and asked him if that's true. He said yes. Then she asked him to point out which law states that. He just shut the fuck up. Fuck that guy. Although it usually is the case that the person is at fault. You are correct, it isn't always the case. Reminds me of something that happened with my monsieur. She was at a junction waiting to turn into a main road. The junction was on a slope. She hadn't engaged the handbrake properly and rolled backwards into the car behind her. There was a little bit of damage, but she knew she was at fault and gave the other person her insurance and contact details. She never heard from the monsieur. We reckon they thought the insurance would see it as their fault and decided to just pay for the minor damage themselves. Freedom of speech and censorship laws do not apply on social media. If your comments or posts get deleted by an administrator, it is not infringing on your rights. Have you been arrested for your statements? Have you been prosecuted for saying something? If the answer is no, then chill out. You even have to read and agree with their terms before creating an account, so you just shut up. That an undercover cop has to tell a target that they are undercover if they are asked. When will these people finally understand that this literally defies the purpose of undercover cops? Not a lawyer. Stop it. Unfair firings are oftentimes not illegal. People often assume that if they were treated unfairly at work, like getting fired for something trivial that someone else got away with, that some kind of law has been broken and that they have a strong case for suing. In most cases this is not true. There are only a very few reasons for firing that get a company in trouble. Firing for race, color, national origin, religion, sex, age, or disability is illegal in all states. Firing for anything else varies from state to state. In many states this means you can be fired for a medical condition, your sexual orientation, tattoos, that stupid look on your face, your weight, etc., or just because I'm not attracted to you. Yup. Put another way, discrimination is illegal. No, Certain very specific kinds of discrimination are illegal. All the rest are totally okay. And to be fair, discrimination based on character and ability should be ideal. The legal limit for BAC and drunk driving. Asterisk asterisk, there is no such thing. Asterisk asterisk. The common refrain you hear, especially from media outlets that have no idea what the fuck they're talking about, is that there's legal limit to the amount of alcohol you can safely have in your system and legally drive a car. No. Simply no. It doesn't exist. There is a statutorily established per se limit in every state. This means that if you are driving and your BAC is over that limit, you are per se intoxicated and the state doesn't require any more evidence to convict you. But if you are under that limit, you can still be convicted of drunk driving or driving while intoxicated. The state will have to provide additional evidence to do so. So, even though you've just had one, or have a BAC under the legal limit, you can still get arrested and convicted of drunk driving, DWI, DUI, or whatever else your state calls it. Can you come to Y and tell the people here that DUI culture is bad here? Bad is an understatement. My former stepdad had like 8 DUIs and didn't have his license revoked until he hit a school bus. This may have changed since, but this was from 2000 to 2008. Not a law, but how people believe the polygraph tells the truth. The polygraph cannot be used as evidence in court. Therefore, not science. Might as well use a Ouija board. Which is why you should always reject any offer, especially by police, to take one. All it does is give them ammo for the trial by media. When they go public and say, "This guy failed the poly," the public usually automatically connects that with actual guilt. Other way around. Not science. Therefore can't be used in court. Also, it's either asterisk Ouija board or asterisk Luigi board. I prefer the second. U.S. Ex-lawyer here. There is no law that requires the police to provide you with their name and badge number when asked. There may be internal policies, but it's not the law. There is also no law that requires the police to get a supervisor if demanded. Again, policy versus law. There is no law that allows you to question whether an order given by the police is lawful or not. A court has to decide if the order was lawful after the fact. But there are laws to punish you if you do not comply. That's a bit scary. Bird law. Shut up, bird. Our birds aren't real. Open your eyes. If the teacher is more than 15 minutes late, you're legally allowed to go home. Technically, you're legally allowed to go home whenever you want, but you still have to deal with whatever consequences the school gives you. That's not true everywhere. There are truancy laws which do not allow children under a certain age to skip class. Lots of people seem to think that private businesses have to respect your freedom of speech. Even though many people think so, there has actually never been a Danish law allowing you to beat up a Swede with a stick if he should walk across the ice on Orson during winter. But, even though the law has never existed, it doesn't mean it shouldn't. No jury would convict you. There was an old law in the UK that you could shoot a Welshman with a crossbow in the city walls of York. My Welsh friends never seem to want to go there with me in my oddly bulky crossbow-shaped case. Edit. Yep. I know I got it wrong. It's a Scott Winchester. With a long bow, but not on a Sunday. Both are old walled-in cities. And the Welsh are the object of ridicule in England. Not that we don't love them and their accent, and the fact that they have some amazing singers. Almost all of these could be a real law somewhere. That's why any lawyer would ask what place you're talking about. Just because it isn't a law in your city, state doesn't mean it isn't a real law somewhere. Paralegal. A lot of people think that the law requires you to be a good, decent person. If I'm sitting on a bench and see a blind person about to walk into the path of a bus, it's completely legal for me, in the United States, to remain silent, take my cell phone out, and take a video of his death. It's even legal for me to profit from the video. I'd be a monster for doing it. But there's no law imposing a duty on me to tell this stranger, watch out for that bus. Quote, you should never tell a blind guy to watch out for a bus. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.